back to A2IM Indie Week presented by Soundexchange. And now for the A2IM general meeting and closing remarks from our chairman. Please turn your attention to the stage and welcome all of our speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've all had an incredibly productive A2IM Indie Week 2017. I think we have a stellar lineup for you today of all the power players in the independent universe, and I'm thrilled to have them all here, so thank you all for coming. I'm going to introduce everyone one by one as we go, and we're each going to speak for probably 10 minutes, but running down to the end to talk to Darius is Alison Wenham. Then we have, who's the CEO of WIN. We have Charles Caldas, CEO of Merlin. Helen Smith, who's the executive director, is it, Helen? Yeah, executive director of IMPALA. We have executive director of musicFIRST, Chris Israel, and then, of course, Darius Van Arman, our illustrious chairman and wonderful support system for me. So, I just, I hope, as I say, this has been incredibly productive for you. We've honored our community's market successes and acknowledged, this is what we were attempted to do here, acknowledge the fact that we don't know everything when we live in an ever-changing environment. For that reason, our programming this year was geared towards best practices for producing more revenues with a look towards new technologies that we need to be prepared for. I know that we're all somewhat relieved and mildly optimistic now that our industry finally seems to be turning around after a 15-year decline. The transition to a consumption-based model is beginning to mature. So far, streaming seems to offer more equitable access for independents, and the projections are looking pretty good. However, we need to maintain those gains that we've made, and we need to extend the independent sector's access to all platforms while making sure that every use of recorded music is paid for at a fair rate. We entered this Indie Week with the most label and associate members that we've ever had, thanks to Patrick Farrell and Lisa Resco, who've done incredible work. We have more international trade delegations here than ever before, and that's something we're going to be working on in the future. We see a big future for a substantial international trade show here in New York in June. There were more panels, workshops, and one-on-ones, and we introduced a CLE track for the first time. We were planning on an education track, but actually we decided to bump that to the fall because we realized this wasn't a good time for students. We had the highest number of registrants for Indie Week this year, and tonight we'll celebrate independent successes at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square with 1,100 members and friends of A2IM. And to put that in perspective, the Libera Awards attendance has nearly quadrupled in the past 2 years. In the past 12 months, we participated in 11 filings on Capitol Hill, and I thank Jay Rosenthal and our chairman, Darius Van Arman, for all their help with those. Those filings are very substantial. They have to be read numerous times in their various iterations, and they take a lot of time. Our social media engagement is up by double, in some cases triple-digit percentages, thanks to Alex Rosen's hard work, and we're now seeing more media coverage with over 100 articles so far this year, thanks to Dawn Cameling, who leads the press house, who's here with us somewhere in the room. Thank you, Dawn. But we do not intend to rest on our laurels. We are in discussions about additional programming to expand A2IM and the independent sector in size and geography. And we are making plans to expand our programming across the year and across the country. A2IM is your organization, and we're open to new ideas. An idea that came from the membership recently was to post upcoming independent releases on our website. We launched that page. We don't know if people will like it or not, but we thought, why not? Let's do this. So now there's a form on our site that each label can fill out, and that form will automatically populate the new independent or upcoming independent releases by member labels. If you all participate, this page could become a central source of data for all upcoming independent releases by member labels. We just launched A2IM's Independence Month with Apple, Pandora, iHeart, and Spotify, and we're extremely grateful to each one of these services for embracing this concept and featuring independent music through the month of June. We intend to continue that year after year, and we hope to see it grow substantially. Our sister organization, WIN, that Alison heads, has negotiated a trade association deal with the anti-piracy software company Muso. This is a non-exclusive deal that you can opt into, and if you're interested in participating, we'll message full information after Indie Week. I want to thank our keynote speakers, our panelists, the companies that did workshops, and all of you who participated in the more than 1,200 one-on-ones that took place upstairs. Our sponsors make Indie Week and the Libera Awards financially viable for us, and for that, we are immensely grateful. We could not survive without our sponsors, so thank you all. In particular, I want to thank Soundexchange for being the presenting sponsor for the second year running. In my opinion, the recorded music industry owes a debt of gratitude for the contribution that Soundexchange makes, which includes its ISRC database, contributions in the CRB filings, its day-to-day efforts on Capitol Hill, and for helping to coordinate the musicFIRST coalition that Chris heads up. And musicFIRST, of course, is fighting for our long overdue terrestrial right. 97 years we've been waiting for this terrestrial right, and we intend to get it. This, of course, is in addition to the huge amount of money they distribute every year. Mike Huppy and his team have been amazing allies to the independent community. We thank them for their consistent support of A2IM and our members, and we wish them luck in their new business venture with CMRRA. Once again, I have to thank my incredible team. Many of them are over at the PlayStation Theater setting up for tonight, but it's Cheryl, Marcus, Patrick, Alex, Sky, Lisa, our interns, Ben, Ross, Troy, and Phil. Also Peter Schwing, who I think most of you have bumped into at some point in this. Peter Schwing from the Moving Target Group and his team have performed miracles sorting out the logistics for this year's Indie Week. As you may have noticed, and I'm running through the team members, A2IM has 2 new team members since last Indie Week, and I thought I would just introduce them in a little more depth. Lisa Resco, who's our Associate Member Relations Manager, started here in February. She came from CMJ, nearly 10 years at CMJ, and she's done incredible work in bringing in many more members, taking care of our existing associate members, and managing all the one-on-ones. Sky McElroy started in September and came to us from brand agencies to fill a brand new position of brand partnership manager. Currently, the independents have a tiny share of the brand partnership market. I don't know if you caught the brand panel yesterday, but it was excellent. Our goal in having an in-house brand partnership manager is to become a funnel to direct brands to the independent sector, and to create business opportunities for our members by raising the independent sector's profile in the eyes of brands and consumers. This will take time because brands make budgeting decisions very far in advance, but we are making headway. More than 42 brand representatives either attended Indie Week or will attend the Libera Awards tonight to better understand our strengths. And we hope to make significant progress in developing these relationships over the next 12 months. I need to thank our attorneys. Our CLE that was held on Monday was organized by Fox Rothschild. This was our first, and we hope to repeat that in the future. Eric German at Mitchell Silverberg and Knupp consistently does an absolutely incredible job of protecting us legally at all times of the day or night, and often with no advance notice. He calls me back from anywhere in the world at any time. I really appreciate that. My longtime friend Jay Rosenthal, also of MS&K, has been our tireless eyes and ears in Washington, D.C. We would not have been able to maintain the level of advocacy on Capitol Hill that we have without him. As you know, we have a democratically elected board that represents the membership and overseeing the organization, and I want to thank the current board for being a bottomless resource and for its never-ending support in keeping the organization stable through what has been a transitional time for A2IM. Board members rotate off the board every 3 years and cannot run again for 12 months. This year we have 4 outgoing members. The expiring seats are currently held by Craig Balsam of Razor and Tie, Dave Hansen of Epitaph Ante, Scott Robinson of Jewel Tone, and Tom Silverman of Tommy Boy. Please join me in thanking them for their service to our membership. This year, a whopping 27 members ran for 4 open board positions. And we greatly appreciate this level of interest and commitment to the organization. All label members can vote, and the members who are elected to the board this year are Glenn Barris of Concord Music Group, Portia Sabin of Kill Rock Stars, Vic Zariah of Raisin and Tie, and Thaddeus Rudd of Mom and Pop Music. Please welcome Glenn, Portia, Vic, and Thaddeus to our board. We have an executive committee and an advisory board. The executive committee is a subset of the main board that consists of a chairman, treasurer, and secretary. This year, Darius Van Arman of the Secretly Group continues as chairman for a 3rd year. Stephanie Alexer of ATO has been voted treasurer, and Louis Posen of Hopeless as secretary. These positions are appointed by the board. They do carry additional responsibilities and help me greatly in the smooth running of A2IM. In addition, we have 3 advisory board positions, and these are appointed by me. And they're a 1-year term, and they're non-voting positions that allow members to get a feel for the demands of serving on the board while broadening the expertise of the board and the input of the membership. I want to thank our outgoing advisory board members, Elisa Coleman of ABCO, Randy Chin of VP, and Amit Nerikar of Run the Jewels Records. The new advisory board members for the year commencing July 1st will be Jason McGuire of Stone's Throw, Dara Frank of Comedy Central, and Rob Filomena of Industrial Works National. So please thank our advisory board members as well. All of these board members have a heavy workload running their own businesses, and yet they commit considerable amount of time to ensure the smooth running of A2IM. So thank you again to all of you. Finally, Indie Week would be absolutely nothing at all without all of you, our members. And I hope you'll all fill out the survey forms that will arrive in your email shortly after Indie Week, and send us your valuable feedback so that we can tailor these events to your needs. The staff, the board, and I frequently discuss the vision for A2IM and how we foresee the organization 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, and even 10 years out. As I mentioned before, we're discussing extended programming. We're always working towards greater awareness of the independent sector, both within our industry and outside of it. We've discussed expanding our local chapters and the feasibility of growing them into full-time offices in Los Angeles, Nashville, and maybe other cities to better serve our members there. We're always aware that we are the American Association and not the New York Association. Obviously, expansion needs to generate new revenues and must focus on member needs. If we want a more robust independent sector, we need to strengthen our 4 primary pillars of commerce, advocacy, education, and networking. And all of these work towards strengthening your businesses. That's our entire reason for existing. While we have some things in common with other trade associations, and we currently have a high level of goodwill across our industry, A2IM exists to serve the unique needs of our members. These needs are constantly changing, which brings me again to the point that A2IM is yours. It was created of, by, and for you. Your interests are represented by our democratically elected board and by Team A2IM. But I also welcome direct member contact, which informs me of the unique challenges you face in being independent. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me at any point. I believe that more ideas increases the chances of finding more great ideas. So please let me know your thinking for how A2IM can better help you and where you see yourself and the independent sector in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. And if you can, please tell me how you envision getting there. And now, we're going to hear from Alison Wenham. For those of you who don't know, Alison is the newly appointed CEO of the Worldwide Independent Network. Wen has been operating in a kind of voluntary capacity capacity when Alison was CEO of AIM in England, and now it's fully incorporated and up and running in a full capacity. WIN provides a collective voice and a platform for the national trade associations, of which there are currently, I believe, 29, but Alison will correct me if that's wrong. WIN provides, its membership stretches across every continent, with trade associations in all the economically developed music markets. Previously, as I mentioned, she was founder, chairman, and CEO of AIM in the UK from 1998 through 2016, guiding its growth in membership, stature, and influence to the point where AIM members now represent around 23% of the UK market. It's my great pleasure to introduce Alison Wenham. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you very, very much, Richard. And as you may know, today in the United Kingdom, we are taking a vote for a new government. A couple of years ago, I went to bed thinking Brexit couldn't happen. Last November, I went to bed, and you know what I'm about to say. So, as of right now, I have no idea what government we'll be having in the UK tomorrow. Nothing is clear anymore in our world. But what I do know is that we stand firm, whatever. It's just a very strange time to be looking at how the social media moves our world in very mysterious ways. First of all, thank you. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, A2IM, for such a great week, and congratulations, everybody, on such a wonderful energy. In the room today, not only are the American labels present, but there are a lot of nationalities from around the world. I can see some of our colleagues out there from Australia, from New Zealand, from Spain, from Holland, from across the world. And that is very much a reflection of the job that Richard and his team have done to internationalize Indie Week. So I'd really want to congratulate you on bringing us all here today and this week. And I also think it's a reflection on the industry that we are all working in now, because the industry is now a global industry. And the creation of WIN was very much to reflect how our world has come together to be a global world with global platforms. And that has its opportunities, and it has tremendous challenges as well, because a lot of the companies that we work with and we work alongside are now huge compared to, say, 50 years ago. Now, last year, I stood here not as the chief executive of WIN, I was the chief executive of AIM. And I ran WIN as a hobby, as a part-time job. But we were inching our way towards the full-time creation of WIN. And I am delighted to say that as of November last year, I was able to move over full-time, create a secretariat with Charlie Phillips, who's a lawyer specializing in rights, and Henry from Norway. And we are now a fully constituted, perfectly formed, small team of soldiers working on behalf of everybody globally. We've also created a board, which is a global board. We have 5 members from Europe, plus an observer in each of the 3 blocks. So one from Europe, we have United States, North Americas, and we have the rest of world. And again, I want to pay particular thanks to Richard and Darius and A2IM for putting up such strong support for the creation of WIN, and understanding the need for it to be a global body. I stood here last year looking into a crystal ball, wondering what WIN really could do. And I suppose you were wondering that too. And so I made a series of pledges. It was a manifesto. It was long. It went to 5 pages. And when I looked at it last week, I thought, crikey, that's a long list of things that you wanted to deliver. So I just thought I would revisit some of those points and tell you how we're doing. I want to raise money for the trade associations. I think it is so important for every record company in the world to have a strong, properly resourced trade association. And I have to say that right now, that is difficult for some of the smaller territories. We may say that in the US and in the UK and in France and Germany, where you have big markets, it's probably easier to have a well-resourced TA. But in New Zealand and in Australia and in Chile and in Brazil and in the Philippines and in Poland, these are really quite difficult goals. So we will be finding ways to raise money. And Richard alluded to a deal that I've just done with a company. It's non-exclusive, so I'm not saying that everybody has to use it. But if you use the services of Muso's anti-piracy software, which will be made available to every member company in the world of a trade association, every track that you protect, and the cost is very competitive, let's say €4 or $4 a track, just under half of that, so $2, will go to A2IM, will go to VUT, will go to AIR in Australia. And it will protect your copyrights from piracy. So this is very much a win-win for the labels and for the trade associations and against the pirates. So that's going to be in beta trial here in Spain and in Chile. There'll be video training for labels on how to use the software. But it's one of those wonderful virtuous circles where everybody wins. Sorry, there it is again. It's a win, isn't it? I know I use that quite a lot. That's okay. Last year, I talked about Fair Digital Deals Declaration. Now, in 2014, on July 15th, something rather remarkable happened. Across the world, starting in New Zealand and ending in Los Angeles, over 1,000 record companies signed a series of pledges, the Fair Digital Deals Declaration, to commit to their artists that they would pay them fairly, that they would pay through unattributable income, and they would not use old world contract models to deduct packaging or those kinds of anachronistic deductions. I think at the time we had no idea how this would resonate and how it still resonates today politically in governments and in the arguments around fairness. And we are in the process of updating the Fair Digital Deals Declaration. Later on this month, A2IM will be contacting you to invite you to sign the new declaration. This will be a bilateral agreement with artists across the world and with our organisations across the world, and we'll take the pledge to treat our artists fairly to a new level. I'd like to comment on a very clear difference between transparency and fairness. As a result of the Fair Digital Deals, transparency became a buzzword because the majors felt a little threatened that transparency was something that they weren't achieving. And so they pledged transparency, and today you can have dashboards that show you where your music's being played and how it's being used. Can I make it extremely clear that transparency is not fairness in contractual terms? So taking the Fair Digital Deals to a new level that will commit a minimum royalty in the absence of digital negotiations with the artist will take this whole sector that you are part of to a new level of fairness, because it seems absolutely trite and absurd to say this, but without our artists we are nothing, and yet to treat our artists badly is a practice that I think we should all publicly and repeatedly hold up as an abhorrent practice. We decided on